Is that what you call them?
Yeah, what you clean your ears with?
Yeah, you call them cotonetes?
Yeah, what do you call them?
Q-tips.
Q-tips?
Yeah, Q-tips.
With an accent?
Yeah.
Johnny, what do you call them?
Q-tip.
Q-tip?
Q-tips, right?
You don't call them cotonetes?
No, bro. You call them cotonetes? That's
I would ask
crazy.
Fabi, but Fabi's not listening. Did you like that song?
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was great.
Did it come through really nice on your headphones?
Yep.
That you fucking forgot?
Shut up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let that negative.
Oh, you just all over the place today.
Negativity.
Oh, okay. That was terrible. Calm down, Phil Dunphy.
Negativity affect your day, people. How are you, Rudy?
I'm doing well, man. I'm in a good mood. I got my headphones today. I brought my equipment. I brought everything that I needed with me. I have my water. I'm well prepared. How about you?
Did you bring the good looks?
You know what I'm saying? You carry that bag, baby. You carry that bag wholeheartedly, and I can never take that away from you.
Oh, man.
Welcome back, everybody.
Just so much shade being thrown.
Scatterroots
Man
podcast.
forgets his headphones one time.
You know, it's okay. We'll forgive you. We'll let it pass. But like I said, welcome back, everybody, to the Scatterroots podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube, I hope that you're enjoying this new decor that my boy Kevin whipped up. Shout out to his dad for whipping up the little frame. And then Kevin himself for putting these little pictures on the wall. They look real good. If you are listening to this on Apple Podcast, or wherever, on anywhere else, you can't see it.
You're missing out. But if you do, leave us a review, please.
Hey, go check it out. Go check out the YouTube. Leave a review. Do all the things. But welcome back. I think today we're gonna have a kind of. Is this the first sequel episode? Kind of.
Yeah.
Have we done like a part 2?
No.
So if anyone recalls, if you've been hanging with us tough from the jump, we had an episode about season 1, was it like episode 4 or 5, something like that, about Spanish. Mm-hmm. Now we dove into that back pretty deeply, right? Because that was like a pretty like deep topic to get into, as the
little bit
dominant language of Latin America, and we definitely got some feedback that I thought was beneficial. Right, we definitely are aware that not everyone through Latin America speaks Spanish, but that just more so had to do with our reality, right? And
all the important people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Jokes, comedy style.
What'd you say earlier? It's the only one that matters. Yeah. Is that the?
Yes, I mean Spanish. If we're being
okay.
I'm just playing.
But yeah. So
Portuguese is kind of ugly though. I don't like it. You like it?
I think any language. Well, what language do you think sounds beautiful?
Definitely not the French either. That one's whack.
French sounds like kind of like.
Nah, they
definitely not German or Russian. Like that definitely not. Ugly.
I mean, honestly, I like Asian.
Italian?
I like Asian languages. I can't tell which one's which.
You just gotta talk with your hands, right?
Italian,
you speak English
nice.
and then you just move your hands back and forth like this.
Have you seen the
video of the Italian soccer team in the tunnel when they're like talking straight?
It's fucked. It's not a stereotype for sure. I get, bro. They really are though.
It was like this one was like the most Italian video I've ever seen.
Yeah. Sorry, but
Italian. I don't know. I mean, maybe the language itself. Any romance language, I think, sounds good. Is Portuguese a romance language?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I think so.
I think it's. I don't think it sounds too bad. I think it just sounds so similar, but I understand like bits of it that it throws me off. It throws me for a loop because I feel like I should maybe almost somewhat understand it, but then I don't at all. So then I'm just confused.
I just don't like how it sounds.
It makes me feel weird, you know.
This is Brazil.
Who said that?
Toretto.
Oh, okay. Man, let's not get back into that.
All right, man. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail our whole conversation. But yes, we only spoke about Spanish because we don't speak Portuguese or French.
Correct. That's our background. That's what we know, and it is the dominant language, right, of Latin America. Like it's I think something that a lot of people can relate to. If you are Brazilian and you speak Portuguese, my bad. There's also a lot of indigenous languages out there. Now, that's a bag that I really don't know anything about. Like, I think we mentioned like there was one or two that we were even able to think of off the top of our head. You mentioned
Nahuatl.
And the only thing that I know the Mayas had their own, but I don't even know what the name of it was.
And I know that
Creole is kind of like
I know in Guatemala, which was of Mayan like ancestry. I don't know the name of the language, but I know that like it's influenced. Like, I mean, same with Nahuatl. There's a lot of like words that come from it. But like in Guatemala, a very common like sound is the ch, like ch. Matter of fact, like, do you know what the nickname for like Guatemaltecos is?
No, what is it?
Chapines.
Chapines. I have not heard that at all. Actually,
There's a lot of words that like soccer.
What sound makes the ch sound?
No, I'm saying the ch. What do you mean?
Oh,
What
like
sound
when
makes?
like they just enunciate it a lot when they.
No, I'm saying a lot of their words have the ch in it, like chapin. The way you
in
say
that
ball.
language.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Or in the
Gotcha.
dialect. Now they're speaking Spanish, but even now, like in
In
Spanish,
their dialect, yeah.
like the dialect, the Spanish dialect that's being spoken, or whatever the word is. But
That's more so what I was asking, right? You know how like I was like in Spain, right? The S sound is so like what it is just a ch.
it's a ch, and
They just
it's traced
enunciate
back
that.
to whatever the indigenous language is called there. I can't remember right now. I wish I
They
had
held
it put up.
They held on to it as they
They're
went over.
so
to-
like like I said, chapin is one, and there's a ton of words like ball is chivola, a turkey is chompipe. I think
I see.
a lot of
I
their
see.
words have ch. It's just very common.
They're added in there as like a part of. Interesting. Well, that's cool. Maybe we need to jump into that back. But that's a
the
lot of
indigenous
research.
language bag. Yeah, it's a lot.
That's a lot of research.
I don't know.
Yeah,
what
we
we're talking
work.
about.
We
I gotta get some
work.
interns first.
Yeah,
like,
no, we're one intern short today. Shout out to Fabio for being here. Monica, I hope you're having fun. Where's she at?
Kima.
Kima.
Like, what's the difference between Kima and I don't know the Houston area. She's
Oh, but Houston, she's in the H.
Yeah.
She's in the H. Shout out to the H.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back. So, no, English. So, we want to talk a little bit more about the other side of the coin because we focused a lot last time about Spanish, right? Our relationship with Spanish, how it was, in both of our cases, the predominant language that we spoke when we were like young adolescents, and then school happened, and then, friendships formed that, where English was the dominant language. And we talked a lot about either like our relationship with Spanish and how it developed and how it's changed, how we feel now. And we didn't really talk about English all that much, or we tried not to because we knew we wanted to do this part. And English is kind of weird. One, it's a weird language, but it's an interesting. I think I have a weird relationship with how I feel about it, especially because it's absolutely my dominant language. Reading, writing, like speaking it. I think I'm fairly well spoken. In regards to like, when we're just talking about like how proficient you are in the language, like that's my bread and butter. But I think nowadays, like I really identify a lot more with like my Latin roots. So it's this weird thing, right, where I really, really want to be Mexican and embrace a lot of things about my culture, and English isn't really there, right? It's not a fundamental like pillar of our culture. However, that's changing a lot in the U.S., right? There's like, I mentioned this earlier too, there's like a 3-generation like theory that's being had, and that's like any family that has had 3 generations of, I guess there's just 3 generations deep in the game here in the U.S. will have lost a lot of their Spanish, if not all of it. Meaning that a larger group and demographic of 3rd, 4th, 5th generation Latin Americans that they're in the U.S. will speak only English. So then we have to kind of now start to analyze like how does English become a part of our culture now? Because it's going to be, right. We can't avoid it. That's where the puck is moving, and we have to move with the puck.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's becoming part of our culture. It's that where our culture is changing, and by our, I mean like not our Mexican culture, but like our
us here.
Yeah,
like us here in the States. Like like
our culture is slowly transitioning from Latin in your case, in my case, Mexican, to like American.
Yeah, like I guess what you would call like Chicano culture, right? Like is because when you think of Chicanos in a lot of ways they're portrayed, they speak English and they splash in the Spanish, phrase, word, like kind of here and there, but English is definitely the thing. Yeah, no, and that's what I mean. Like that, when I say like that's where the puck is moving, I'm not saying that like English is becoming a part of Mexican culture.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm saying that like this new kind of group of individuals that is like African Americans, right? Like they are their own complete entity now. Like, right, we are Latino Americans, and our reality is that we are an English majority speaking group.
But how do you feel about that? Like about you switching over to like becoming, I mean, we are Chicanos. I mean, there's no way around it, right? As much as like, for instance, I want to say I'm Mexican, I'm a Chicano. But how do you feel about, let's say, like yeah, your kid or your grandkid not distancing themselves, but being just distant, just through the natural flow of time to the same Latin roots that you mentioned earlier, that you really have grown to love and appreciate, right? Like the way you're almost speaking about it like it's a foregone conclusion, which I mean, I kind like that's just the pattern.
Yeah,
You know
like that's a general pattern. It's obviously
like there's things you can do to like kind of hold on to your roots, but I'm saying like more often than not, it's a rule for a reason, right? These things are happening. The English is being the Spanish is lost, right? Like who's to say, right? Like your grandchildren might not be able to speak a lick of Spanish. I mean, knock on wood, whatever. But
yeah, for sure.
But you know what I'm saying? Like how's that kind of make you feel? And like what?
I think I feel the same way. Like I think this is where the episode from before and now like cross, right? Where you have to understand that this is happening, right? That you understand that English is becoming a part of our identity here in the U.S. When referring to like our cultural identity as well, right? Like we are English speaking Mexican Americans, right? For you and I, and that's why I say I feel weird about it, because it's a newer kind of dynamic that you almost have to like embrace, right? That like me speak and it like before, right? Like me speaking English and being proficient in it is okay. Like it's still a part of like my identity. Now it's definitely part more of the, when we look at it, right, the Mexican American identity that I have, it's the American side of it for sure. And then now there's a weird thing that you have to add in there, that like English is now more so like a very just global language, right?
Yeah.
It's the language of the colonizer, and it's colonized
goddamn
the world.
Colonizers.
You know, it has though. But
couldn't Spain be a little bit better?
You think we'd be any better?
They let the English.
You think we'd be any better of like colonizers than? No, we're terrible. Look at Latin America.
No, hold up. I don't know, but the English are responsible for like every fucked up conflict there is in the world, dude.
They are.
Like,
but that's because of the U.S.
Like the shit
and
they did
that's because of like
India
and
Israel and all that.
I was gonna say that's because of the British Empire, and because of the United States. Like those two by themselves, bro. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying.
So you think if Spain and Portugal?
Hey man, maybe I don't know. I just know that
we live in a better society. No, just look at like
they royally fucked this up. All right, like let's just try something else. Let's just go back in time.
Step down. Step down. Let us colonize for a little bit.
Yeah, let's go back in time and then mix it up. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think that would fly. I don't think that would jump off.
I'll just play, man.
But no, yeah. I mean, like for you Spanish, you said was your dominant language for a long time.
Yeah, it's the first language I learned to speak.
When did you feel like you were like, oh, okay, like English is where I'm, and that's the thing that I was mentioning earlier. English is where I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's the whole goal of like even like the discussions we have is being comfortable with who we are as a people, wherever you land on that spectrum. Right. If you are a child of an immigrant, if you are an immigrant, right. If you are not proficient in Spanish, or if you are proficient in Spanish, if you're not proficient in English, but you're like, there's this huge spectrum that we exist on. And that's kind of why we're having this conversation, right? Because now we have to have the English side of the spectrum. I forgot where I was going with my question.
I think I think you're about to ask me, when did English become like my dominant language, or at least a lot more important part to my own identity, or when did I learn it? I learned, I mean, because we spoke about this, I think, in that episode. I learned it like in elementary school, like in the 3rd grade or something, when I moved to Mesquite, which is predominantly white. I've spoken on this, and I spoke about it in the previous sports episode. And that my time there, that's when I would say that English kind of uprooted my Spanish a little bit, and I transitioned from being a primarily Spanish speaker to a primarily English speaker. Right now, today, I think I'm still pretty comfortable in both spaces. Like I'm very much like caught in the middle sometimes, where I'm like, I don't know how to say that word in English, and I don't know how to say that word in Spanish.
That happened to you just right now, like 10 minutes before the podcast.
Yeah. But
and that's the point I was making. Sorry. And that's the question I wanted to ask you, because you brought up the point perfectly to remind me of it. Is along the spectrum now for me, right? Like the whole point of these conversations is for us to be comfortable with our identity in being from here and from there, right? Ni de aquí ni de allá. Someone has said that like I don't look at it that way. I look at it as like I'm from here and from there. And for me to be comfortable with who I am, I have to admit to myself that I'm comfortable knowing that English is my dominant language. And so I know that in places and spaces where English conversations are happening, I have no qualms about speaking up, right? I have no like hesitation in like interacting, speaking up, saying something. When I'm speaking Spanish, I do. I think about that environment a lot. Like when I went to PR, if there was gonna be a moment where I was gonna have to speak a lot of Spanish, I would almost kind of not psych myself up, but I'd have to be like, oh, okay, like, you know, I have to get into like my Spanish bag. Like I have to make myself feel a little bit more comfortable than I am. Now I feel pretty comfortable because I think my Spanish is okay, like bordering on good, but definitely not great.
Yeah.
But I definitely know that when I'm being myself, the most comfortable version of myself speaks English. And I guess that's like what I'm asking you. Like, do you think the most comfortable version of yourself is the part of you that speaks English?
I don't know, honestly. I mean,
because it is for me.
Yeah, maybe. It honestly depends contextually, like where I'm at or who I'm with. Like, I kind of like let that kind of dictate it, right? Because I do feel comfortable speaking kind of both, right? But and it naturally comes out, right? Like, I mean, when I'm with my parents, that's like obviously I'm gonna try to speak Spanish. But even like at work, for instance, right? Like, like that's what I meant to say. It's like it all depends on the context, right? In a professional setting, no way I could like work with Spanish speakers and like as in Spanish engineers. I wouldn't have no idea how to speak, right? I don't know how to say any of the engineering terms in Spanish, right? Like programación, implementar.
Hey, when I started working at Apple, just like in the store doing like technical support stuff, I realized that I didn't know how to say any technical terms in Spanish.
Right, exactly.
Because a lot of the times, like, right, they'd be like, hey, like, we have someone that speaks Spanish. Can you, like, help them? Like, yeah, sure. And then I'd go and have to talk to them about, you know, erasing their computer or something. I'd be like, how
Borra tu disco duro.
Erase your hard drive. Or, like, reformatting it, right? Like, or, like, or your backup. Like, you know, like, even the name of applications, like how do you say like time machine in Spanish? Like I don't know, like, does it change? I don't know.
Yeah, no. So it depends, right? But now, like if I go like with my friends, with like my group of friends, or like the ones I originally had, kind of later on in high school, we just get in. Like I turn Mexican real quick, and the switch comes on. Like I forget who I was with the day. I think it might have been Fabi or somebody that like somebody called me. I was like, "Keep it away, come on!" Like I just like it just flipped the switch, right? And I was super comfortable in that setting.
And that's funny because I don't think I have those moments that often.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that like I will when I'm in an environment, maybe like with us here, but it's like much more random and just sporadic where I just like hop into Spanish like out of nowhere, and that's because like I said, I'm much more comfortable.
Yeah, like I said, I think I'm very much more like I hear what you're saying. You're kind of more on the English side of it, and I don't think I'm all the way there. I think I am kind of almost truly down 50-50. I might be slightly skewed maybe to the English probably a little bit, but still I think I'm a lot more in the middle. Like because like I said, contextually speaking, it depends. I even like adopted behavior. Like I get the like I start like I get that I do that like I don't know. It's like
¿Cuántos tacos the Gabriel Iglesias? ¿Cuántos tacos?
I don't know the joke.
And he's like 4 tacos, and then the taquero's like,
yeah, where like my slang comes out. Like I like my Spanish slang and all that stuff. It just comes out. So.
I don't have a Spanish slang like bag at all. Like I feel like I have to like pick up like 1 or 2 things here. I told you earlier I've been on Spanish TikTok a lot recently, and I watched a lot of like the kid videos where like they're like walking around asking each other questions. And I'm like, all right, these kids are using this slang word. Let me pick this up. Write this down.
That means this. All right, cool. Got it. Yeah. But because like my formative years were kind of split down the middle. That's kind of what I was saying earlier. Yeah. Is that I think that's the reason why I'm kind of
so comfortable in both spaces. Yeah,
because they were split down the middle, right? Like my early formative years up until like 14, 15 I was surrounded by English speakers. Surrounded, and at that point in time, my Spanish was trash. Like I vaguely remember my dad used to get on my butt about it like all the time. Like practice your Spanish.
How did you feel about English at that time?
I don't think at the time I felt any way. I just
accepted it, right?
Yeah, because I was surrounded. All my friends spoke English.
School is in English. Like this is in English. It almost felt like the world was in English.
Exactly.
For the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't really have those Mexican influences outside of just my mom and dad. Like I wasn't even watching like Mexican television like that, right? YouTube wasn't really a thing for me to be watching because now I like watch Mexican YouTubers. But so yeah, my world was just in English. But fast forward again to like 14, 15, 16-year-old now, and then onward when I got to like my little soccer crew, my like friends at the apartments, and they were all first generation Mexicans. Now I'm speaking like them. Now I'm saying like Chilango. I'm even saying Chilango things like cámara. Like, órale, güey, cámara. You know what I'm saying? Or al chile. Like, and I'm picking up these like slang and now all I speak with them is Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And then I love that because again,
And
like,
that's when you're most comfortable. I think that's a good way to address that question, right? Like, hey, like I guess how comfortable I am with like whatever version of myself that I am, right? Not that there's different versions of myself. I am who I am, but like there's definitely going to be
it's kind of
English
like
and Spanish, Rudy.
It's kind of like
It
code
depends on where I
switching, but
am.
it's not for the sake of code switching, right?
Yeah,
Like
it doesn't have the intent of like denying my identity.
Yeah.
It's just like whatever it is.
yeah.
For sure. I think that's definitely like a huge thing. And that was probably
I'm a chameleon. No, you know what I'm talking about?
that's like it's what to break into it because I remember it's like I'm like
Come and go. It's on The Office, and it's also Boy
Andy.
George, I think.
Yeah. I remember now.
Bro, every like classic song I know is because of The Office. Like,
You think so?
Literally, like
Half of them.
yeah, like that's an iconic song. Like people are gonna be like, how the fuck do you not know that song? I think that's Boy George. I think.
That's like American culture though. For
Yeah,
the most
that's
part.
what I'm saying.
Like-
But like anytime I know an obscure like old American song like that, it's because of The Office.
Yeah, but I completely agree with that. Like if it's not something that's because actually like my parents they didn't put me on to,
Right,
like
yeah.
any of it.
Bro.
Yeah, no, that's a funny point.
Sorry. But
No,
yeah,
no,
I just
you
meant
get-
to say that like I adapt to the situation
For
kind of,
sure.
and
No,
not in
I-
a negative way.
I think that's a good way to put it. I definitely think that you can, and I think a lot of people relate to that, right? Like I'm more comfortable speaking Spanish in this space, while I'm more comfortable speaking English in this space. I think for someone that has a little bit more of like a background like myself, where they maybe shifted away from their Latin background, whether it be Mexican or whatever the circumstance may be, for a long time, right? Because again, not only did I stop speaking Spanish all that often with my friends because my friends didn't speak that much Spanish, I also just culturally like wasn't like in tune with like a lot of things, right? And I didn't seek to be, and so I think that just led me to be very, very American, while it was Mexican American, like still like just very, very American for like a long time, and that's a space that that when it comes to language specifically, I know that is more who I am than speaking Spanish. And we said it before, right? I think we have to us as a people. Now, I'm not telling Mexicans or Guatemalans or like, Chileans, whoever it may be. I'm not telling them, hey, in your countries and places and spaces, you need to start accepting more people that are going to be like speaking English. Whatever that relationship looks like in those countries, that's fine. But for us here in the United States, when we have this conglomerate of Latino Americans, it doesn't really, we can't use it as, we can't be the gatekeepers of culture, right? Hey, gatekeepers is like a hot ass word right now, like in the gatekeeping. What was the word before that was hot? Gaslighting.
Well,
Gaslighting was a word.
Hey, you gaslighting right now, bro?
Nah, bro. But
I still don't know what. I mean, I know what it means, but gaslighting is.
That's not. I don't want to become one of those podcasts that talks about gaslighting and all that. The ones that you could like literally find hundreds of on any of the platforms. But no, yeah, like you can't use someone's for the in America, Latinos living here, right? Like language has to be something that's very fluid. Like we have to accept that it's going to exist on a spectrum, and that we still fit underneath this umbrella, though, right? And like accepting each other, like I mentioned before, just because someone doesn't speak Spanish doesn't deny their Latin background, right? Same with like it's the same point now, but from the opposite side of the coin, we have to be okay with saying like, hey, English is something that is a part of our identity as a group. Especially because a lot of the trends that like I was reading about, like I was mentioning to you earlier, right? Like the 3 generation rule just means that like there's an increasing rate of English being spoken in a Hispanic Latin household, and over time that you even lose the Spanish just in its entirety.
I think that's where. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think that's where like I hear what you're saying, and you're absolutely correct. But I think that part at the very end is where it becomes dangerous, because if you do. Like, okay, the fact that I speak English does not take away from my Latin culture.
Yeah.
Facts, right? 100%. But if slowly through time, my children, my ancestors, whatever, no longer speak Spanish, that's a big part of the culture that's being lost, right? Like of the original Latin culture, of the original
Do you
Mexican
think there's
culture.
a space where you can almost say like, hey, we don't speak it at all, but like I'm still here, like I'm still like, quote, like
I mean, you could still be there, but I think you have to accept that you've lost part of your culture and you're further away. Like,
guess that's a fair point.
You know, like, and you might have a reason, like, you know, it might be out of your hands, right? Like, you could take the Monica situation, right? It's not like she she chose to not speak Spanish, right? It just, yeah, she's, I think, third or fourth generation, and it's just falls right in line with that rule, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
she
yeah.
could represent and rock with, you know, Mexico, right? For sure, 100%. But I think you can't get around the fact that you have to say, like, yeah, I've lost a big part of my culture, right? Like, I think that's just what it is.
so that
Doesn't
thing-
make you any less, though.
It
like,
doesn't, for sure. I think that's the biggest point, right? I think that's the biggest point in that argument. But then now there's the opposite side of the coin that I think is interesting that I never really thought of too often, at least specifically addressing language. And that is, okay, we know that consciously, culturally, we really want to make an effort to maintain the relationship that we have with Spanish, right? Whether it be like, it'd be amazing if my kids could speak more Spanish than even I do. Right, like if hopefully like their mother like is
Mexican
much more
as fuck.
fluent, yeah,
or Spanish as fuck. Sorry.
yeah, exactly. And
Same.
speak Spanish like and teaches them, and then we make the conscious effort to like really like drill it into their heads, right? Like they're gonna be nonstop on the cloud. Like, my kids are gonna be robots,
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
machines.
Yeah,
No, I'm just playing. But then that was the other side of the coin is
they're gonna put you onto the slang.
let's look at English, because having a dual identity for a lot of people has now made it to where like they're almost not even comfortable in either, where they're not proficient in either. And this is now just like an issue that can arise based on like socioeconomic circumstances that a lot of our people face, right? Where they speak English, and now we're going to talk more so about like proficiency. Like how proficient are the majority English speaking Chicanos, like whoever it may be. Because I was reading it, going back to some stats that I was reading.
Oh,
I
here
wonder if
comes
I have
Stat
the
Man
date.
Rudy coming through.
Well, we're seeing an increase in proficiency, right? Like I think at this point now it's like 90% of U.S. born Latinos speak English proficiently. That's a stat from like 2013, compared to in 1980 it was at 70%. Now these are U.S. born, right? So these are people that were raised within like the English environment being spoken everywhere, mostly, right? Outside of the pockets where it's mainly like, let's say you live in a real like land community and you only speak Spanish within that like that space. But for the most part, the outside world is still English speaking when you're a U.S. born person. But even with that being said, and I can't remember what date it was from, but it was still 1/3 of Latinos or Hispanics, I think the paper said Hispanics, are not proficient in English. And that's a huge number.
Wait, because earlier you were talking about U.S. born. What is
Yeah,
this?
so that's just in general, right? For
Okay.
U.S. born people. So even when you take U.S. born people, in 2013, that means that 11% weren't proficient, right? Now the second statistic that I provided is both U.S. and foreign born.
Okay, and you said 1/3 aren't.
1/3 are not
I actually
proficient in
think
the
that
language.
number's kind of like. I would think there's more that aren't. Just considering how big the rest of Latin America is.
And I was gonna say this, and I think that number is very underreported, based on people that are not proficient in English probably being hesitant to respond to, hey, are you good at speaking English? Yes or no? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're less likely to get like good empirical data
See.
from that demographic. Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. See. Yeah. So I think that 1/3 number, it doesn't sound as bad as it could be. You're right, but I think it's a little bit underreported.
Okay.
And so I guess the point that I'm trying to make through this whole conversation is we've already agreed that like for us, we really want to make a push to learn English. I mean, learn Spanish, right? Keep Spanish within like our
English.
cultural identity.
Stupid ass
But
language.
now we have to make the effort to do the same thing with English, right? Because that 1/3 number really limits, I think, if you are not proficient in English in the United States, that is a marker for like, that's just a number that's going to influence the trajectory of us as a people making progress in this country, right? And that's all we want to see happen.
Okay.
Like, I want to see our community like uplift each other, and it's very weird, right? Because we're not a monolith.
We are not a monolith.
I finally went to watch that clip.
Oh, okay. It's funny, right?
It's funny.
We are not a monolith. I'm pissed.
And so it's weird, right? When we say we want to uplift each other, and sometimes we're pulling in different directions. Nonetheless, I want to see people that look like me, you, and look like a spectrum of Latin Americans succeed in doing well, right? And language is a part of that here in the United States, specifically for the people that we're really addressing. And so that 1/3 number, I think overall we have to work on it. So now we have to make that effort as well to work on speaking English better.
You want to go to these countries and teach a little?
No, this isn't in these other countries.
I
this
thought
is in
you
the
said
United
it was
States.
both.
Yeah, these are foreign born.
Oh,
but they're in the United States.
Oh, okay.
They're immigrants. Sorry, sorry if I didn't play the context perfect.
That's why I was like, yeah, of course.
All this information is for people here in the United States.
Ecuador isn't going to speak.
But whether they were U.S. born and foreign born,
okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Track the data a little bit better. Sorry if that was confusing. I apologize.
No, yeah, I mean,
I'm not a statistician.
I'm kind of slow, so it's
probably
true. Just me.
You're just a good-looking smart guy sometimes.
Pendejo. I heard that one a lot.
But yeah, no, but I mean, like, how does that I've never had to think like, man, I have to help my communities.
I'm kind of shocked now. I'm like, well, I guess, foreign born, it makes sense, right? Because especially if you have like my parents or whatever. And
because for me, it's always been like, man, I have to get better at Spanish. I've never had to think of myself. I mean, maybe when I was in school, right, I was like, man, I got to get better at like writing, reading, like just to get better grades or whatever it was. And it so happened that I got better at the
language.
Shout
out to Mr. Hackett.
Oh, bro. Hey, shout out to Mr. Hackett. He was cool. Johnny, did you like Mr. Hackett? All right, Johnny said
he didn't like Mr. Hackett.
Dang, it's because Johnny's problematic.
I mean, he taught us how to write essays.
Hey,
right?
bro,
that's all we did in that fucking class, bro.
Is that a double entendre though?
Don't even ask me that. Oh, I got you.
You see that?
I didn't even do the math.
He was writing essays. Hey, that was fire.
If you know.
You only understood that joke if you went to high school
if you were in SEM
and you were in our English class.
Oh no, but I just know. I just remember his class. All he would be like, "All right, take out sheets of paper." I'm like, fuck, it's fucking essay time.
Yeah, we would always write essays.
Damn it.
No. But I can't get away from that joke. I have to move on to my point. I think this is actually going to be a pretty good place to transition actually to the next point, which was okay. So for myself, I've never had to say like, oh, I need to specifically address getting better at English, right? Because I'm in the category of being proficient in such, right? In any place or space, I feel very comfortable speaking, talking, writing. But for other people that are either, immigrants in this country, like young immigrants, they may have been like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, or older, right? Like our parents. Mm-hmm. Their entire dynamic has been, I need to learn English. Or I don't. I'm just going to say, fuck it. Like, and there is a group of people that say, like, I don't need English to succeed. I'm just going to do me. What does that kind of look like for you? Like, with your parents, can you provide... Because I think that's a pretty good place to start. Like, what does it look like for our parents?
Just talk about specifically with their relationship with English or whatever?
Yeah, because I think they're going to be on that side where they've probably had to think, like, oh, I need to get better at my English.
So we quickly touched upon it right before recording, but it's actually curious to me that, like, so they both got here relatively young compared to a lot of people who would say immigrated here. But by young, I mean, like, they were in high school. They were, I can't remember the exact ages, but 12, 13, 14, 15. High school, middle school.
That's kind of, at least I would think that it's a interesting age because I feel like middle school and before, it's easy to like pick the language up still, English, for the most part. Any middle school and above, I feel like it would maybe be very, very challenging.
And I think that's where they're at. I think they're middle school and above. And also the area that they immigrated to was like basically like Compton-ish area, Linwood, where it's heavily, I mean, there's different sides, but their side of it was heavily Latino, right? So they're surrounded by Spanish speakers. So all that to say,
you can get away with like speaking a lot of Spanish,
and they did. My dad still to this day speaks little English. Like he can hold his own fine. Like he can communicate, and like he communicates with Monica fairly well. But that didn't come till later, I would say.
You think it took him a while to
took him a while, yeah. And even my mom.
And do you think that was a conscious effort that he had to make?
Probably. I don't even know. I remember distinctly whenever he just started coaching soccer, right? And I remember trying to get him to learn more English. So he could like take that career path seriously because he was a great coach. So I was like, dang, Dad, if you can just like break into like the American market, because all of our kids that were on our team were like little Mexican kids,
and that'd be cool, right? Because I'm not like no cap, like white people love love paying to play soccer.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah.
so like
it's a great business. It's a great business, and my dad was good at it.
So you wanted him to like learn it. So
I wanted him to learn it, and
okay.
yeah, and I don't know if he took initiative to go and learn, or I don't know, but I can attribute in my mind progress.
Yeah,
being there from like his earlier on, to him like not speaking any English to now he speaks okay English. Like it's still not good, but it's there. My mom also I don't think learned English in high school. I don't think, but her English is now very good, and I think that's just through her.
Oh,
working.
is it very good?
Yeah, her English is very good. I think that's just through her working. Like I said, so my mom had to move around jobs a lot. So this is a little bit about why like. I didn't speak about this on the first episode where like I hate this country sometimes. You know, remember that little
I do remember.
resentment?
Yeah.
One of the other things that would happen is that, so like I don't know if your parents went to this, I have no idea, but so my mom, she would get to a job, right? And she'd work the job 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever, and you know, she'd be good at it. She was usually pretty good at her job. And then all of a sudden her manager would come and be like, hey, we got a notice, like you need to provide like proof of citizenship next week or whatever. My mom didn't have it, so what did she do? Quit and go work another job. So my mom worked at Target, at Walmart, at Staples, at Office. Like she worked all the jobs. You know what I'm saying? Because literally everywhere she'd go, like within a couple months, she'd have to like quit and bounce.
Be a barrier of entry.
But there was one where she was able to stick around for a while, and she became manager. It was a restaurant in downtown Dallas. It was in one of the big skyscraper buildings.
Okay, yeah,
it was
high
like
rise.
a little food. Yeah, it was a little food court in the first floor of that building. And so like I think it was like the Chase headquarters was there. I'm not sure, but like hella people would come in, like all like, you know, American businessmen, And my mom slowly but surely, like she worked her way up from being a cashier to manager, and now she like, because of that job, I think I attribute that job to her like knowing English. Like she
and that's honestly that's an excellent example of like why there does have to be an effort to help improve that 1/3 number in proficiency. Because like you said, right, like the ability for her to like, while hers might have been backwards, right, the fact that she got better at her job and was able to like make moves helped influence getting better at English.
I think they went hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly. Right? They do. And that's my point. Like they go hand in hand. Like when you look at the statistics, because I guess let me ask you that before I even bring up that statistic. What if you had to answer that question for your parents? Are you proficient in English?
So it depends on like the scale of proficiency, right? Like
I don't know how they graded that.
Yeah,
that was
like what's the scale? Like I think my dad is kind of like borderline pass fail probably.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
He's getting like a 70.
Yeah, he's like
69,
65, 70 or in that range.
69 is better.
Yeah, right. And my mom's she's still not. I mean, she's not great. Like her brother and sister speak way better English than her, which is weird. I don't know why.
But you would say yes to your mom as far as
I think so.
goes?
Yeah, like there's still plenty of words my mom conjugates incorrect, or not conjugate because there's not conjugation in English, but she uses the wrong tense.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right? Like, or yeah.
Hey, that sounds kind of funny sometimes when like people like mess that up, and I try not to talk with this like they don't know, but like it's funny. Like
yeah,
the
my
way
mom
the
does that all the
structured.
time. My mom does that all the time. She uses the wrong tense or like certain words.
And English is not an easy language to learn.
No.
For anybody out there, like this is mostly like I feel like our audience is mostly aware of this fact, but English, bro, is a trash ass language structurally.
Spoke Colonel Sanders. That word is so stupid. C-E. Are you serious?
No, I know how to spell it. But like, you know what I'm saying? But even if I spelled it that way, if I combined Colonel and Colonel, like the two kernels that exist, and made like a third word of it, it would make sense just like sounding it out, right? Like. And that word doesn't even exist. So it's don't ever play me like that.
I was really like, yo, Rudy, what's going on, bro?
I told you I'm proficient.
I was scared.
Hey, I speak English good.
much good.
Much good. Why use many word?
When few word do trick. You want to see world or see the world?
Shout out to The Office. No, yeah, and so I think it's really important, right, that we make that effort and push. But don't use it as like oh dang, look, they're losing a part of who they are in this effort.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the delicate balance that exists.
No, I would agree.
It's a very challenging one, if I'd say so myself. To provide some context as far as like with my parents, my dad, he's been here for a long time. but he speaks a broken English. Like if I had to ask, is he proficient in English? The answer very clearly be no.
Mm-hmm.
However, conversations he can like have, and he does the same thing where he messes up like tenses, and you can definitely tell he doesn't know the word exactly. And reading and writing are out of the question. Like he can sound it out, but because English is a trash language to try to sound out, a lot of times like there's a lot of misses there. My mom speaks no English. She understands it now pretty well, right? Because obviously she's like in this country, and so she knows, and she goes to places and people like say certain things, like what they mean and like how it is, and the general like how are you, good, you know, like 1-2 liners just to like pass by, she can get away with. But you want to talk about like being like I said, I'm uncomfortable sometimes speaking Spanish when it's like a strong speaking Spanish environment. I can only imagine how uncomfortable my mom feels when it's like a not just completely English environment. Like I would even imagine that imagine being like in a business type setting where like they're using like, you know, terms that would maybe even like make you think of like, oh, what does this word mean? Like, what is that XYZ? Like, and that's kind of where I'm really pushing the ball, right? Is that like we need to not just be comfortable speaking English, but like being in like these high level conversations as well.
Yeah.
And that leads me to bring up that statistic that, and we haven't had this episode yet, and I think we definitely will at some point, but education, right? It just comes down to education. And that was a socioeconomic thing that I was bringing up earlier, right? Like some of this has to do with this pocket of like immigrants that like we created where like we know we were at a disadvantage like from the jump.
Yep.
Right? Because like you said, you didn't have papers. So you had to start a new job every 2, 3, 4 weeks because of XYZ. And so in that circumstance, right, you have less of a possibility of maybe helping your kids focus in school, right? Because you're working more odd jobs than not. And so we tend to lose the ball. There's a lot of places where like you can drop that ball. But when you look at proficiency, right, if you had less than a high school education, there's a 15% chance that you were proficient as an immigrant, or being U.S. or foreign born, right, Latino. High school graduate, 32% chance. 52 if you had a 2-year degree, and 61 if you had a bachelor's degree, right? And then I'm sure if you get into masters and
who's getting bachelor's degrees without speaking a lick of...
No, this is like high proficiency.
Oh, high proficiency. Okay.
Yeah, like this is like having like and even just proficiency in general, right?
Okay.
Again, like I think when you look at like less than high school makes sense, 15%,
Yeah.
right? 32% for high school, I think goes back to the point that I was talking about. There's probably a lot of people that were able to get away with not needing to know English that well because they were just getting by. Mm-hmm. They were the high school graduate that just barely made it. Even at Townview, which was a magnet school, there were some idiots that I'd be like, bro, like, how?
Yeah.
And
it's even worse at the public schools, man. Like,
and sorry, that's an offensive term to call someone an idiot, but
no,
like,
you're idiots. Kidding.
But okay, that was, and so now thinking back to what my homeschool was, Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
And that was a huge like demographic of people that look like me and you.
Latin.
And a lot of them, bro, spoke terrible English.
But I was gonna say,
and it was hood English in a lot of places.
Say, as you were speaking, what you made me think of, like a lot of the people that I know and grew up around, again through the soccer team and stuff, were people from the Pleasant Grove area that went to Samuel Skyline, who like, yeah, they speak English, but ain't no way that they're gonna be able to like hold their own in a business professional set. Like
at that time, right? Like you never know like what happened with these people's lives, like as far as the trajectory goes.
I mean, some of them I do, because I still know them. But yes.
But at some point, you knew that it required either education, whether it be institutional or other, right? Whether it be like a business education that you went out and got because you like got into that bag, you started your own company XYZ. Yeah. But when I say education, I'm not always specifically referring to the institution of like higher education.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest pocket that exists for sure, but it can exist outside of that. And so, yeah, no, that's exactly what I think of too. Like I had friends that I knew that like went to those schools that like, even some like Americans, I'd be like, bro, your English is trash. Yeah. Like.
Yeah, I think that's just.
You could not write a dissertation if you needed to.
No, that just goes to speaks to like the lack of, or the problem with education in those low income areas across the board, whether you're an immigrant or not, whether you're foreign born or not. Yeah,
and I think it's just because
so now add to that the level
circumstances that we're in. Yeah, you put us into that. Like you add that on top of everything else.
Yeah,
you have the possibility for a lot of things to to not pan out in a way where like you end up being proficient in English.
Yeah.
So it was honestly something that was interesting because the only like lens that I ever viewed that through was my parents, right? Like I wanted my mom to be able to speak English. I wanted my mom to be, just because I want her to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Not because I wanted to Americanize her, not because I thought like she needed to. I just want her to be comfortable like moving around day to day.
Yeah.
And even then, right? Like we move on from like being proficient, and like there's like pockets of that, like people with accents, right? Like having like an accent gets you. And I guess it's gonna help us into the next stage, is because English, while we just said can be a key to helping us like elevate as a people, right? If we get more, Latin Americans with like higher educations, like if we're in the room, if we're in those conference rooms, if we're in the meetings, if we're like kind of pushing the change, in whatever language, right? Whether it be Spanish, English, like as long as we're in those rooms, it's. Shit, where was I gonna go at this point? My bad. Oh, sorry. It's a good thing that can come of it. However, the other side of it is that English can be weaponized against you, and it absolutely has been for a lot of people in Texas and California. We'll get into an actual real life example at the end of the podcast when we go into like some current event stuff.
No speako el inglés.
Yep. It's unfortunate, right? Because like to sit there and weaponize, like I said, you can have someone that speaks great, that the actual structure of the language they speak it well, but let's say they have a very strong accent.
Yeah.
Right? People can make fun of it, or people will immediately call it out. Like if I've been in a circumstance where this person was speaking just fine, but they definitely had an accent, and then some American or non-Latino like almost like calls them out for having that accent. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the other dangerous side of the coin. And that was the lens that I viewed it through when thinking about my mom. I just never wanted the English to be weaponized against her. Yeah. Because it opens a lot of scary doors, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just wanted to really quickly go back to speak on when you said comfort, like you wanted your mom to feel comfortable. And I think you meant it a certain type of way. But I just want to quickly touch on the dynamic that there is whenever you do have those older family members or what have you that don't speak a lick of English. And I can only imagine like their own frustration when they're in an environment where it's all English, especially when it's at home. And what I mean by that, like for instance, right, my grandma doesn't speak a lick of English, right?
That's a good point, yeah.
And a lot of my cousins do speak Spanish, but a lot of them don't, right? There's a few that for whatever reason.
So you tend to go to the average. On average, what does everyone generally speak here? English. This was going to be spoken in this moment.
Right. And so like in those situations, it's rough, right? Like it's like, yeah, like that's where I agree with you, and like we should help these people out. We should do more, like to just spread so that they're not, because can you imagine being in a situation like if we were to drop you in like Asia or something, and like everybody's just speaking their native tongue, and you're like, what the fuck's going on?
You want to talk about uncomfortable?
Yeah. I mean, I did that when I was when I went to France, right? Even though France is similar, like when I was in France, there's very little English signs, like and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand.
Is that how you were moving? Is that how you were moving?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, Lord, what are you doing to that microphone? No, bro, right?
No, bro. No, I was moving kind of scared because I was kind of scared after.
I heard Paris is kind of a scary,
yeah, bro, Paris is trash.
I heard it smells terrible.
Let me tell you, whenever we first got there, one of the very first things that happened, bro. So like, Monica's trying to find the subway, right? The subway entrance.
Yeah.
She kind of like ventures like 5 yards ahead of me or whatever. So it's me, my brother, and a coworker of mine. That was a trip, and her. And she ventures like 5 feet. Bro, I'm looking at her. She's not even that far. And I see two dudes like walk up behind her and like look her up and down. And I like book it. And I like,
whoop the ass.
And I just like grab it real quick. And I'm like, yo, like, where we going? Like, I was just trying to like play it off kind of like, oh, it's this way. Cool. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they just like turned.
Yeah.
I was like, it's about to be some taking shit, dog.
They saw this 5'4" Mexican, swole Mexican kid.
Yeah,
like,
I can't
fuck with him.
I promise you, but she didn't see it. I mean, I told her about it. Honestly.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
But like, she didn't see it happen. I saw it. Like, it was these two French gentlemen, I presume. I don't know what they were.
Not gentlemen, if they were gonna abduct her.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't know what they was gonna do.
Or pickpocket her.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah. Anyways.
Or objectify her even.
Exactly. Anyways, my point is, like, can you like that's such a to have those situations where like your mom, like, can you imagine like, now like your grandkid
In a
or
world
whatever,
unknown.
yeah, or your own kid. Let's say your own kid doesn't grow up speaking English or sorry Spanish, and now how the heck is your mom gonna communicate with your kid? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, those
yeah.
are fucked up situations.
And
like,
it's for the most part here, it's always been like on a spectrum, right? Where it's like there's a little bit of like both or other. The example you're providing is very extreme. Like if you dropped me in the middle of China,
I mean,
I'd be fucked. Like,
I mean, you know what I'm saying.
but no, nonetheless, and that probably
I work in hyperbole.
that does happen though. I'd imagine, right? Especially when you're in an environment where, on average, let's say that everyone's more comfortable speaking English, right? Or you have more people comfortable speaking English. So then the general conversation tends to trend in that way. And this person that's in the room that has no English background is just sitting there. Yeah, they're lost as, they're
just in there twiddling their thumbs.
literally.
Yeah.
And especially in circumstances, I think the grandparent one is the perfect example, because you'll have a lot of grandparents that, unlike my mom, who understands English somewhat, because she's heard it so much.
Yeah.
If you have someone from like, oh, grandma just came from Mexico.
Del rancho.
Yeah, they just came to
De
the rancho for a month, for 2 months, and they don't have this exposure to even just hearing the language. Yeah, it's gonna sound like mom, 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 mom.
It sound like the Peanuts again.
Yeah, exactly.
Wah, 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 wah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And real quick, another funny thing. This is just a funny observation. I think it's hilarious. I love when people give their kids, their Mexican ass looking kids, white ass names, and the grandma and the can't pronounce it. Like I think I don't know who. I think somebody named their kid Wyatt or something.
Oh my!
And the grandma like
Wyatt.
We at. I just think that's so funny. Like, bro, why y'all naming y'all's kids these white ass names?
My nephew's name is Liam, and I felt a little bit about. Sorry. To my sister. She don't even listen to these hoes half the time, so it's fine. Liam, what do you think about that?
Is he the one that watches? I can't remember. I don't know.
He does. Hey, shout out to Liam. If you're watching this on YouTube, bro, I love you. Hey, Zoe, I love you too. Yeah, his name to me sounded very. It is American.
Yeah, it's a white ass name.
You think?
But at least that's an easy one to pronounce.
Its pronunciation is easy.
Yeah,
it's easier. And then
Liam.
his middle name is Tomas.
Okay.
Which I was like very like whenever she was thinking about like giving him the middle name, I was like, make sure that it's not Thomas.
Yeah, no,
It's
Thomas
Tomas.
is terrible. Thomas.
Liam Tomas.
Can you imagine Liam Thomas?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Liam Thomas.
And looking how he looks.
Yeah, bro. Like,
just,
yeah,
a disconnect.
And he's a little. And they just came back from Cali. They were like they were at Disneyland.
Okay.
And he came back. Oh, if you heard that thunder strike in the back, it's pouring out here.
Yeah.
But yeah, he came back and he was like very dark. I was like, bro, you look like a brown boy right now. Like you
don't look like a Liam no more.
You is brown to the bone. But yeah, you look like Tomas. This ain't Liam. This is Tomas.
Yeah.
But yeah, Liam, not pronunciation wise, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not tough.
My mom can do it pretty well.
Yeah, it's those tough ones sometimes. The one that cracks me up, and it's not because it's hard to pronounce, because it's so common, is Jaden. I feel like there's so many Jadens right now. I have like 5 cousins that are named Jaden, like
really?
baby cousins. And Yaden. We're making fun of accents. No, we're not. But I just think that like it's so funny.
It's funny because you're creating the problem yourself. I think
yes.
The thing,
that's
right?
exactly. Like you're just creating like. Yeah, man.
It's a funny thing to think about.
You got all these nopaludas running around with names like I mean,
Everest.
Yeah. There's one Wyatt. Oh my god.
There's a lot of them out there.
But anyways, I didn't mean to derail the conversation. It's just a funny.
No, actually, it's funny because I think about like naming my kids a lot.
Do you have a kid name?
Yeah, I got them in the bag, but I can't put them out there because they're gonna be stolen.
Mine are like.
Yeah, I want them to sound very like very, very Spanish.
Yeah, I'm about to name my kid fucking Ernesto de la Rosa.
That's terrible.
Ernesto de la Rosa.
Oh, like on
Esteban Julio.
The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
I used to know that.
Hey, was that kind of like leaning into a stereotype? That was a character we didn't bring into.
But guess what? I loved it.
He was the bellhop. Yeah, I was excited to see him as a character.
Esteban.
Like, hey, Esteban's my dog, and he was always helping them get away with shit too.
Yeah,
I was like, he's cool.
But yeah, maybe it's like stereotypical a little
bit of it. Yeah. No, but I think that we were talking about before, right? I want to jump back in because then this leads into the next topic. English can be dangerous and weaponized. And there's a lot of tools within the United States, especially as of recently, but it's been happening for a long time, that are used to make people uncomfortable and...
Talking about like laws and shit. And such. Well, before you get into the law back, do you have any experience or do your parents have any experience where they were... harassed or whatever for not knowing English, like at a restaurant, at a store, whatever.
That I was aware of, not complete. Not,
God damn.
Yeah, I know. It's thundering back
I'm
here. But hey,
scared.
how did this happen?
I don't know.
This is weird. No, so now where I was there, because I would always be there.
Speaking the English.
English. And I was I feel like myself and my sister are both pretty headstrong, and to not like allow for like someone to feel like they could like make my, like make a comment in some way, shape, or form. This isn't, now that goes out the window when you're talking about police or anything, or any form of like like enforcement of some kind, right? That kind of goes out the window. But not directly, although I have had comments where it's like, oh, why don't you just teach your mom English if she's gonna live here? Oh, like, like things of that nature.
Why do people even get off saying that?
And that, like, I do have a side eye for, right? Because it's just kind of presumptuous of the person to think that, like, we haven't, like, not that we haven't tried, but like,
Bro, there's just some questions that people ask that I don't understand where they get the gall to ask.
To ask me. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, that's the in the fact that they feel like they can automatically, I think, speaks to the type of person that I think they are. So then, like, it pits me against them. So I've had that happen, but
one
not
thing to think that, like, but to go in directly, that's crazy.
Or even ask me like later, like once we're actually like comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
Like if we were like sitting down like 6 months later at a restaurant and like some topic about languages came up, and then be like, hey, so does your mom actually speak English? Like, nah, she doesn't really. I was like,
so it's safe to say you cut her off real soon, right?
Well, that was actually like a client of my mom's, because that we were, I don't know if we were looking to like, my mom was looking to like start working for her, or she was already.
Ask me that question.
Remember. Oh, has that happened to you, Kevin? Do you have a story?
Yeah, it's not that great of a story, but it's one of those like photographic memories that I have. That we're in a McDonald's eating breakfast. I had three hotcakes. Love hotcakes. Pancakes from McDonald's.
Them McDonald's breakfast,
bro.
The ones that had the orange cover and not the orange, the yellow top.
The like styrofoam little version.
Styrofoam top. Hey, that was McDonald's breakfast at its highest.
People that know me will tell you they're my favorite pancakes.
Have you seen that video of those two white girls sitting in the van in their McDonald's?
Mm-mm.
Hey, please go look it up, bro. Hey, now
what the fuck? Nah.
It's actually very inappropriate. Okay. They're like getting their like breakfast, and like they're like, sorry,
I'm uncomfortable.
This is gonna get me canceled because of the noise I'm making. They're like, I love this.
Please stop.
And then they're taking like the hot syrup and they're like pouring it over their pancakes. And then she's like, that'll make a pussy throb.
Oh my God. Rudy, stop. All right, back to my story. So here's a wee lad, a wee Kevin. Rudy's dying.
Sorry. Okay, great.
I don't know how I was. I was like probably 10, 11-ish. I was still like too young and shy to like know what's up and like defend my parents.
For sure.
I was still a little kid. And we're just sitting there, we're waiting for our food or whatever. And this like random ass white lady just comes up to me, or comes up to our table, and I just distinctly remember her tone being like, "Why aren't you speaking English?" Like just kind of like with a real aggressive kind of. And in the moment as it was happening, I was like, "Huh? What?" I just kind of like, "What? Bitch, watch out! I'm eating my hash browns." And I just remember my mom shutting it down real fucking quick. And my mom's like, oh, because we speak both. So at that point, my mom was working at that restaurant I mentioned. So she was always already like pretty fluent.
Because we speak both. What about you, bitch?
Yeah. Basically, she was just like, oh, my mom was like, oh, we speak both. We teach them both. But like, she saw that my mom, and like, I remember hers like, oh, but you do speak. Okay, cool. And then she just kind of like stuttered and be like, oh, okay, no. Okay, bye.
Like had, and the fact that like, had she not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I hate having to like qualify myself for like somebody.
Exactly.
Well, actually, bitch, I speak both.
Yeah.
You know?
That's exactly what it was.
What do you speak? Just English?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Cause and we talked about it like shortly after, like when she was like, fucking bitch, like she was just waiting, right? Like that's what she was looking for. She was looking for my mom and my dad to be like, oh, yo no sé, whatever, like whatever.
She's looking to like big brother somebody, right?
Yeah.
Like make it, and that like that is exactly what we're talking about. That is weaponizing like the language
Mm-hmm.
against a group of people, making them feel uncomfortable, making them feel wanted.
again after that.
It's probably for the best because we don't
I was
know.
just like, it did nothing. But fuck, I'm gonna eat all the hotcakes. Maybe that's why I like their hotcakes so much. I was like, yeah, mom, you stick up to that bitch. Just eat my pancakes.
These are cakes of freedom.
Yeah.
No, but
Mexicano
I
sagrito.
fucking hate you. Like the pancakes pan over. Johnny, please pan the pancakes with the Mexican national anthem. No, I think it's stop it. It's a dangerous like line to toe. And it sucks. And it's a delicate balance that we've just been discussing overall, right? Like having to help move us in a direction where like everyone is more proficient, getting better, being comfortable, but also like retaining our Spanish, right? Because this group of people that's gonna exist, because bro, 50, 60 years from now, right? Like I mentioned earlier, like we have to move where the puck is going. The U.S. is going to be a majority country by 2045, 2050, right? Based on like some projections.
Damn, we're going to be majorities now?
No, so white people will still be the majority.
Fuck. Damn it.
But the minority groups will be the majority.
I'm cool with that.
You know? So like when you
I've been calling a band together with my African Americans and my Asians.
Hey, and that's why we made the point before, right? Like we as a people, not just like
and all the others.
Exactly, like minorities.
Yeah.
Like when we're talking about us as people as minorities, hey, we have to throw our weight around once it comes down to decisions being made and like moves being made.
Yep.
So that we as a people advance, because we know that right now it's an unfair shake. I think is a pretty easy way to put it. But I think that's about pretty much what I want to talk about. English. Do you have any other remarks or?
Well, no, I
topics?
think you're gonna touch on the law aspect of the weaponization.
So yeah, that's just the overall messaging though that I was want to get through before I talked about this specific example. Because I asked if you had heard it, and the only reason I knew about it is because I knew it happened in my neighborhood.
How's good old Uncle Sam oppressing us now?
Wait, you talking about that? No, I'm not even gonna get into the Abbott shit yet.
Oh.
I'm going into the specific example that happened. So it some people might be aware, especially if you lived in Dallas, but it was around 2008 through 2010, maybe like 2009, around that time, where there was police officers ticketing individuals for not speaking English.
I've never heard of such things.
Which like is fucking mind blowing. Again, the caucasity, right?
I love that word.
To sit there and feel that you have the power to. It's one thing to judge, and that's terrible enough.
Pulling him over, like what the fuck were they doing? Were they handing out like English tests on the spot?
So that was always something. I was very young when this was happening, right? Again, 2009 puts us like we were like maybe freshmen in high school.
They pull out To Kill a Mockingbird and ask people to read the first page, or what?
And I think there was probably some kind of like language barrier, like we're like, hey, like do you know why I pulled you over? And they probably just like my mom would be like, oh, like.
Because I'm brown.
Let's just get by, right? Like saying yes, no, but like holding a conversation in English, not gonna happen. And I think that's what would happen, right? Like they were very clear to see like this person does not know how to speak English and cannot communicate with me, and they would write them a ticket for it. I forgot what specifically they would write them a ticket for. It was like some kind of like general.
I know. No license, no registration, no identification. The trifecta. God damn.
No, but like the ticket was specifically being a non-English speaking driver, like that.
That means it would have had to have been law though. If they're gonna get like write them up for something.
It was like you know how you can like get.
Like, what do you put on the paper?
You know how you can get like a ticket for like,
No,
public disobedience or something like that, like public disturbance.
Okay.
And there's like fucking like 1,000 things that fit underneath that umbrella, right?
They just fit it under one
exactly.
of the umbrellas?
It was something like that, right? Like they gave the ticket for that specific thing.
Disturbing the peace. I don't understand you.
No, something like
You're
that.
disturbing my peace.
Which again, like it's one thing to be, judgmental of someone. Look at this Mexican, right? That doesn't speak any English. Blah 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 blah. But then for you to go, which again, terrible. Like, right, you piece of shit human for thinking this way. Mm-hmm. But then to go in and feel that you have the right, which was wrong, to ticket someone as like an actual offense, like to think that this person is now breaking the law according to how I feel, because it wasn't a law, but according to the way I feel about this is illegal. Not just
this shit sounds like a law.
Not just do I think you're illegal, I think your existence is illegal. Your inability to speak English is illegal.
Rudy,
right?
Stop talking to me like that.
That's how they felt. Like, that's the thought process that had to have been the thought process going on in these officers' mind. Yeah. And this was in Dallas. I remember
that's crazy.
Had to come to a stop. That's like, crazy. It was a big deal. Like, officers got in trouble. I don't know to what level, right? Like, I'm sure like the accountability system in the police system is fucking terrible. Garbage. So they probably told them like, hey, good job, but just don't do it. That's probably the message that they got from.
Hey, great initiative, guys, but you know what?
We're still working on it. It's not official yet. Like, hold on.
We're trying to tweak this thing. Just give us a second. We'll
So take them if you haven't heard of the incident. Take a moment, because I'm not doing it justice, but I think it just speaks to, again, this is 2009.
What I thought you were talking about were the retenes, like I said earlier.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't like that.
Which I don't.
How do you say retenes in English?
I don't know. There's a lot of words I don't know. One of the other like contexts where I don't know any English is like tools. Like I don't know how to say tuerca, like any of those.
The tools that your dad would get you to go get.
Dame el tornillo, and I'm like, and then I go, I'm like, wrench, socket.
Yeah, bro. Hey, imagine if your dad sent you to Home Depot and gave you the name of the Spanish term, no, and then like you walk in and be like, hey, where's the tuerca? And the dude's like, what'd you say, son?
I'd have to find the Mexican dude
that works there. My dad. Hey, it's my dad. My dad works at Home Depot.
A word?
Yeah.
No, but yeah, so retenes, I don't know how you say retenes.
They're like stopping points.
Yeah, they're like checkpoints where I remember those used to be a big thing. You don't remember them like?
Not for like specifically what you're talking about, but I know like on like holidays, right? They have them for like drunk driving kind of things. Like,
yeah, no, I just remember them being a specific to like citizenship or immigration status. It's just like what it sounds like, a checkpoint where they would be like, yo, let me check. Let me see them papers, son.
Let me see them papers, son.
And they would just mass deport people basically. And I just remember because like I remember like it'd be like on Piolín por la mañana. You remember Piolín?
Yeah,
the radio station.
Yeah. It's still going. I'm pretty sure.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Reten on 175 in Skillman or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Oh, they were like announce it. Good,
I think
bro.
those two things cross.
Good.
Yeah, they'd be like Reten watch. Like 635 in Oats or whatever.
I don't remember that off that clearly in my head.
Which is interesting to me because I think fast forward to like now the actual law that exists, I think was passed in 2017, and maybe I'm wrong because it's probably brought up a couple of times, but the one that actually authorized police officers to ask for your immigration status, I saw an article that said that law was passed in 2017 by Greg Abbott, or he signed it into law or whatever.
So this is all relatively new.
So that's
right, and they use any kind of way, shape, or form. And this is gonna like peel back now a little bit away from language and just talking about like,
our rights,
like generally what's happening. Right, this is now a little bit more current event kind of like conversation, but language has to do a part of it because of the example that we just gave before this. Yeah. So for anyone that's not aware, I'm sure if you lived in Texas, you're aware of it. If you live outside of Texas, you may not be aware, but Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, passed a law giving troopers the right to pull over vehicles that were suspecting of carrying immigrants, specifically for COVID. Right, like that was
another law. That's not the law I was talking about.
That was the one you're talking about is 2017. Yeah. Like that's just general immigration status stuff.
Oh, yeah. This is the stop and frisk.
This is the same.
The stop and swab.
This is the stop and. Put cotonete in your nose. How do you say cotonete in English?
Cotonete.
An ear swab, right?
Is that what you call them?
Yeah, the what you clean your ears with?
You call them cotonetes?
Yeah, what do you call them?
Q-tips.
Q-tips?
Yeah, Q-tips.
With an accent?
Yeah.
Johnny, what do you call them?
I mean Q-tip.
Q-tip?
Q-tips, right?
You don't call them cotonetes?
No, bro. You call them cotonetes? That's
I would ask Fabi, but Fabi's not listening. Sopos.
Oh, she actually uses their word. What are they? I don't know what they're actually called.
Is it not an actual cotonete?
But in like, is that the Honduran term or is that just the Spanish term across the board?
It's the actual technical.
Oh, really? Sopos. See?
Oh,
you don't know Spanish.
Esopos. So you think ours just came down to the brand that we got?
Yeah. Like, how do you say that?
That's so
how do you say petroleum jelly in Spanish?
Lube? I don't know.
Jesus Christ. You still lubing with petroleum jelly?
I don't know, bro. I literally froze. That was the first funny thing I could think of saying.
How do you? I mean, yeah, it's
Vicks.
No, that's Vaporú. You call it Vicks?
Oh yeah, Ponte Vicks.
No, that's Vaporu.
Evaporu?
Yeah. No, it's just Vaporu. No, so petroleum jelly is Vaselina.
Oh.
Vaseline. Vaseline.
Is it actually that though?
I think that's
or
the brand.
Or do you think you're just saying the brand name?
No, that's the
that it
brand.
happens
Yeah,
to
that's
be?
what it is. Yeah.
But what do you think the actual word for petroleum jelly is?
Oh, I don't know.
Here, if I can Google it right now. I
Gelatina
will.
petróleo? I don't know. I don't fucking know.
All right, we're getting away from the point. This was not supposed to be a funny part of the episode.
Oh, yeah, this is the serious part where they're the stop and swab.
The stop and swab, which is, yeah, so the...
All right, break it down again because I cut you off. What?
So Greg Abbott gave state troopers the right to pull over vehicles suspected of carrying immigrants for the sake of checking for COVID-19.
Sake.
Right, which then indicates that like they can also check like immigration status like throughout this process. Which it was such bullshit. Like whenever they try to like paint the narrative that they can say like this isn't to profile anybody. We're not profile. So how do you identify who you're gonna pull over? What does pulling over?
You seen that Family Guy meme? That's how.
Yeah, literally. Like open up the pamphlet. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's COVID-19, no COVID-19. And that's based on like this other fallacy of the fact that like immigrants are the ones increasing COVID-19 numbers again, right? Hey, COVID is doing the fool right now.
God damn you! Just get the fuck out of here, bro.
Bro, that hoe is doing the fool
like
again.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. No, yeah. So right, they're blaming this increase that we've seen in Texas, not on the extremely loose, non-existent laws.
I thought
yeah, bro. If you start to like peel that onion back, like it's a lot of contradictory information. But yeah, they're trying to blame it on immigrants, right? Is the point? And it again, it's just very dangerous, right? This rhetoric that you start building. Oh, like these people are illegal. No one in this world.
Stop calling people illegal.
Yeah, like you want to say undocumented? Sure, it's like the more accurate term. Nonetheless, I think it's
these nuts.
Yeah, document these. Yeah, fuck.
Beat them to it.
It's so easy to like derail and get frustrated. But I try not to, right? Because then you can't have a good conversation around these topics that need to be talked about a lot.
No, that law sounds like a crock of shit.
It is. It absolutely is.
Especially coming from that wing.
It just gives people the right to profile people that look like me, you, our parents.
Maybe blame it on the people that aren't vaccinated, bro.
Hey, you know that's a whole nother conversation.
Microchippers.
Not the chip that's in your hand.
God damn. Sorry. Like you said, it's frustrating, and I don't have the same level of restraint as you do.
Hold
me back.
I will say this: I am glad that there's been a lot of pushback by our community and by even just allies of our community. I think the Department of Justice, or maybe I don't know who it is actually suing Greg Abbott.
Yo, can we get him the fuck out of here?
Bro, just literally push him down the hill, dog.
Damn. Jesus Christ. Hey.
Just push him down the hill, bro. Hey, cut his brake line.
Jeez, Rudy, stop. You're going to get us.
If we have any disabled friends of the podcast, I'm just making the joke specifically to him, not you. Sorry.
Oh, my God.
No, but yeah, so that's...
Johnny, cut that out. We'll fix that in post.
That was the last thing that I really want to talk about that kind of like, flowed with the conversation that we had is unfortunately we're still dealing with a lot of like the same things, right? 2009, they were giving out tickets for not speaking English. And we've seen laws similar to this one that they just passed here in Texas. And it sucks, but it just speaks to the importance of us as a people having each other's back, right? Like making sure that like we're doing what we can as responsible citizens.
Yeah, dude. Even if it's a simple, I remember
not happening. Go vote whenever Greg Abbott is up for re-election again, bro.
Get the fuck out of here. I don't care who he's voting against. He can run against Voldemort, and I'm voting for Voldemort.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, it's just such a terrible human, honestly.
I was gonna say along those lines is just help each other out. Like I know, like I've been in situations where like if you're at the store and you see someone struggling to like communicate with like the cashier or whatever. Like
absolutely.
I'm sure you might have had an experience or two like that. Like, oh no, that's good. He said so and so or whatever, or she said this and that. Like, just help each other. You know what I'm saying? Don't.
And you know what's interesting? You bring that up, and we didn't even talk about this at all. People like you and I, like, there's a lot of people that look like you and myself who don't speak Spanish, and so now you start to see sometimes people that would be like my mom, right? Go up to someone that looks like you and me, and maybe not initiate the Spanish, right? Because it's a little presumptuous of them to be like, oh, and there's like a conversation around that. But yeah, no. If you see someone who's struggling to speak English, help them out. You know,
I
speak
just
the
did that the other day at
Spanish.
Panda Express. She was asking for orange chicken. And the lady was like, "What?" I'm like, "Bitch, the orange chicken. God damn, it's fuck."
Yeah, no, help them out. Like, you know, help our peers out. But then overall, we also generally have to, like, you know, do this delicate dance of helping uplift, like, you know, our English proficiency while not losing our Spanish as well. It's a big ask, right? It's literally asking you to sharpen two swords.
What kind of swords? Katanas?
I don't have a good.
You just the face you like that.
I don't have a good roller deck of like different types of sword. I don't know, big ones, the short ones,
Broadswords?
yeah, long ones, pointy
All
ones, not pointy ones.
That face was just funny. Yeah, no.
I literally like the level of knowledge that I had was so non-existent that like I opened that. I just imagine like little like. You know how SpongeBob had like the SpongeBob's running around in his head? I imagine like little Rudy opening the door to like the filing cabinet that said like sword names and it's just empty. And I'm just like staring at it like, what the fuck is here?
Yo, well, on the theme of uplifting, bro, let's uplift some fucking athletes, man.
Yeah, you want to jump into that one first? You don't want to have the bad word conversation
Oh, no,
first?
fuck that conversation.
Oh, okay.
No, let's uplift these athletes, bro. Let's
Yeah, no, big shout out.
At the time of recording, we're in like the middle of the Olympics?
We're like kind of like dead smack in the middle of the Olympics,
Like
which
halfway
I think
through?
was a great when we had our sports podcast, like it came out like right as the Olympics were starting. So yeah, no, big shout out to all the Latin American countries that are doing it. I think Brazil's had the most success thus far. But other countries that have medaled, Ecuador, Venezuela, Colombia, the Dominican, Cuba, Mexico, Argentina. That was kind of the list that I had. And that may be changing. By the time you listen to this, the list must be longer.
Out of date as fuck.
And there's a lot. Are there any athletes in particular that have stood out to you?
I saw, if you listen to this sports episode, you know I don't give a fuck about the Olympics because Mexico sucks. But I know I just noticed a couple. I noticed the Brazilian like 13-year-old skateboarder that won a medal.
Yeah, did they call it Tinkerbell or did they call it the fairy tale? The fairy.
I don't know. I just saw that she was like 13 or is it 13?
When she was a lot younger, she was wearing like a Tinkerbell outfit, doing like skateboarding
Is that
tricks.
why they called her that?
And so she's like the little fairy. She's like the fairy skateboarder.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, I think she's been like one of the highlights.
So not only is she Latin, but she's a woman, and she's 13.
And
That's
she's
crazy.
so cute. She's like this cute little girl. Yeah, big shouts out
Good
to
for her.
She's
Good
been
for
like a big story, just like at the Olympics in general. And so like for her to, yeah, she's like Brazilian. So shout out to her. There's another Brazilian skateboarder.
Oh boy, Lusty Rudy's coming out.
Not Lusty. I just, I'd like to compliment.
Okay, sorry, polite
You know.
Rudy, gentleman Rudy. Go
Gentleman
ahead.
Rudy would like
compliment
to
her on her appearance.
extend and skill as an Olympic skateboarder.
Name me one trick she pulled out.
Kickflip.
Oh yeah, look at you.
That file cabinet had a couple of things in there. Yeah, shout out to
She pulled out the
Tony Hawk.
ollie twisty,
Yeah, bro.
360 nose
kickflip. I don't
nose
know.
flip.
Some, hey, shout out to the
I don't
fiasco.
fucking know. Kick push.
Yeah, no, you know what I'm saying. If
What's
for
her name, though?
any kind
Come
of
on,
way,
shout out.
shape, or form, you would like to
Come on the show.
say hello, you know what I'm saying?
Come
Hit
on
me
the
up.
show. Yeah, just come on the show.
But yeah, no. So other than that, like, there's been not. I haven't been following the Olympics too closely. Those are like kind of the two biggest ones.
Nah, man, I just know Mexico keeps getting fourth place and everything.
They have been getting fourth place in a lot. You said this earlier. They got fourth place in what? Skiing?
Skeet shooting.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, skeet shooting.
I don't think skiing has made it to the Olympics
Not
yet.
yet. Hey, bro, sign
Not
me
yet.
up, boy. That was.
Not yet. Really finna we go, bro. Speaking of, I just seen this story, bro. I just seen this like meme. I think Monica shared it, and I saw it a couple other places. But you imagine how much more entertaining the Olympics would be if instead of like trying out and like training for them and being like professionals, they just picked random ass people to do the events.
Like average Joes.
like you just got drafted
It
into
would
the
be
Olympics.
very entertaining for
Like,
like
can you
the
imagine
first.
you doing the like pole vault?
Okay, so this was gonna be. It would be very entertaining, like the first time you see me fail, and then it would get so boring seeing someone literally like.
Can you imagine Johnny throwing a javelin?
I could see that. Yeah, Johnny's like 6'7", like swole
Bro,
man. Hey,
so
we
fun.
just learned that Johnny has curly hair,
Yeah, I've never
mostly through his kids.
in the
like
15 years
his
or
kid-
whatever it is that I've known.
Yeah, he's always had a buzz cut, but
Yeah.
hey, Johnny, let it grow out, bro. Let the curls.
Yeah.
The curl.
Sign the petition for curly hair Johnny.
Hey, curls for girls.
Curls for what?
Curls for the girls. Curly hair for girls. Because the girls like curly hair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Come on, boy.
Back on the Olympics. What the fuck were you saying before? Derailed it with my joke.
I don't know what we were saying. No, but just big shout out to anyone
Sure.
representing. There's been a little bit of flack given to the Mexico softball team.
Yo, fuck them. Yo,
I hope it was just an incident. That,
I don't know. I'd have to see both sides of the story, but on paper, bro, like, come on now, like,
yeah, like why would you throw away
like I'm not hearing
and
this
take
whole, like,
comforters and like whatever else?
I'm not hearing none of this. Like, oh, they only allowed us one bag. Then fucking ask somebody to ship it.
Yeah,
we got UPS, we got Amazon,
the flag
we got
being
DHL.
carried on a lot of this equipment.
It's just a symbol,
and
of
it's
it, bro.
just so
Like,
cool. Like to be able to carry
First of all-
back, like the clothes was cool.
Yeah.
The jackets was fire.
Yeah.
Bro, send that hoe to me.
they're drippy as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just
That was
like, bro,
disappointing.
can you imagine though? Can you imagine like as a other softball players or whatever, like in that position who maybe didn't make the team, worked their ass off, and just to see this group of who a lot of people were already criticizing, right? Like, now this part I don't necessarily agree with, right? Because they're all like, oh, they're all born in America or whatever. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, well, yeah, but if I had the opportunity to represent Mexico, I'd do it like with all my heart and passion. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that neither here nor there, but just the fact that like you left that, and it's like, bro, it's such a symbol of like hard work and shit. You just left it in the trash. Like, come on.
Yeah,
man, that's fucked
it is unfortunate, but I mean, I haven't like looked into it that deeply, but
up. I have. They all blocked their Twitters. I mean, their Instagram. They like blocked off all
Oh,
their comments.
really?
Yeah, they blocked off all their comments, and then a few of them posted like a little statement. It was a little statement talking about, oh, I mean, yeah, we didn't have space. We were only allowed X, blah 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 blah. It sounded like some
I
weak
did see
excuses.
that. I did see like some of the
One of them,
reasonings.
the one that's Mexican born, like posted a TikTok kind of throwing. I would say it was throwing shade because she was just like, oh hey, like I'm back in Mexico. Da, da, da. I wanted to show you guys something, and she like flips the camera, and it's like all her uniforms.
Oh,
she
like
never mentioned nothing else.
because the rest of the softball team was American born,
yeah,
right?
there's only I believe one.
Yeah,
Steffi Aradia or something like that.
that's kind of that's disappointing.
Yeah.
But I think maybe it just speaks to back to like, hey, like we have to do a better job of like really like helping American born people that like are in our shoes that don't feel that really really strong connection with like the flag, with like, you know, their
Yeah.
pride.
Like I said, it's hard to like condemn him. I said fuck you, but I didn't, because it's like I don't know what their mental state is,
Yeah.
right? Like on the one hand, you could say
You have to have some level of pride, right? Because you're obviously representing the country.
Well, that's what I'm saying. On the one hand, you could say like, oh, they're just American rejects, and the only reason they play for Mexico is so that they could play.
That's
on
the narrative
Olympic,
that I've
right?
seen, yeah.
Maybe, and maybe that's the case.
Yeah.
Or on the other side of that coin, maybe they really did feel like, oh, let me honor my grandma or my mom or whoever it was that they have there, and like I want to go represent Mexico because maybe I don't know about them and I don't know how to speak their language, but I want to like do that for my side of that side of the family or whatever. I don't know, right? So that's where I won't condemn them fully, but it's still some fucked up stupid shit to do. So
Yeah. It was unfortunate, but like I said, I think I'd rather focus on the positive right now. I think it's good to like condemn them and say, hey, like this sucks. This is why
they
you
got
shouldn't
fourth
do
place.
this.
But they fucking lost.
No, just everywhere else, not there. Everywhere else.
I'm playing.
And hey, like I know you said that. I mean, I when it comes to like sporting competitions, I can't help it. My heartstrings pull for like Americans. I am American.
Boo.
Hey,
Boo,
big
Wendy. Boo.
Hey, bro, if you look at like
I don't know why you're
think
talking all that American shit. Today's the final.
It's easy.
Gold
Oh
Cup
yeah,
final
fuck yeah,
they did.
fuck yeah. US, fuck you. Okay, all right. Today at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yeah, fuck you.
Fuck you. But Olympic time, otherwise, I'd like to say
immediately after.
I would like to say no. Like I'm gonna root for the teams, especially because, bro, if you look at a lot of our teams, there's definitely sports where like you can see that like, oh, okay, like this is only a sport that rich white people play. That's what they get at it. But if you look across the spectrum of like the American
watching a lot
team,
of
Team
fencing.
USA, it's a pretty diverse group of people, and so like I'm gonna obviously pull for the, you know, I am American, so track team, the gymnastics
land is
team.
my
Hey, shout out to Sunny Lee for being the first what was it, young American,
Asian American girl?
like to medal.
She's a gymnast, right?
Mhm, she's a gymnast.
I just saw
She
it.
won her gold medal in the all arounds after Simone Biles had to pull out. Hey, big shout out to Simone Biles.
Big shout out to Simone Biles. Step up for your mental health, girl. Don't
Yeah,
let these people
absolutely.
talk
We're
shit
gonna
on
be
you.
advocates of
Fuck all them haters.
taking your mental health seriously. You know, it's a part of your well being. And it
But
was
she ain't got nothing to prove, bro. She's
nothing. She's the greatest gymnast of all time. Like,
fucking
and
goat.
that does not take it
Literally,
like
yeah.
away from it. Like, literally the greatest gymnast of all time. So big shout out to her. We were gonna jump into the Gold Cup a little bit, but I think that may be better suited for another day. We and you know what? I feel like if we start to have the conversation that I was alluding to earlier is a conversation around whether or not this chant that has plagued. Hey, and there's some versions of it, bro, that are hilarious. But I think we have a difference of opinion on the topic a little bit. So we won't jump into that today because then this will extend the podcast. That's like a 30-minute conversation.
I'm about
by
to be
itself.
here fighting. I'm just playing.
Nah, I don't.
No, because I don't care.
I don't think we disagree. I just think that like there's some differences in how we feel about it just in general.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, anything else you'd like to add today, Kev?
No.
That's it. Hey, well,
I don't think so. Don't forget something. Follow us on.
oh yeah, hey, don't forget to follow the medias. You know what I'm saying? Repost us when we post on the IG at ScatterRootsPod. My IG is at Rudy.dtx.
Coach Kev Ortiz.
Big shout out to the man behind the camera, Big Johnny out here. Hey,
we gotta
if
get this content going, bro.
our YouTube content
That's
has
the content I mean. We gotta
been amazing.
We should drop a calendar.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Johnny, you want to shoot a calendar for us, bro?
I got a couple of nice speedos in the bag.
Represent US and
Yeah, one nut on each.
Have a split speedo.
Oh my god!
Like it.
Put the America on my ass. No, but yeah, shout out to Johnny, shout out to Fabi for being here, and then Monica wasn't here this week. She had the week off.
She's here in spirit.
She's here in spirit. But yeah, no. Thank you so much for listening, and y'all have a good rest of your week. Enjoy the Olympics. Enjoy everything else. Y'all take care.
Viva México, cabrones!
Let's go. I'm so sorry. I cannot sleep. I cannot tonight.
Jesus Christ, Rudy, relax. Who hurt you?
Myself.